Welcome to Food Science and Technology 3. I am Dr. Mshayisa, and today we are going to be talking about meat and meat products. For a shorter video, we are going to look at the processed meat classifications, and then we are going to delve deep into the canned meats. From there, we are going to look at frozen meats, and then we are going to conclude by looking at dry preserved meats. Other types of meats will be included in the videos that follow. So let's delve into it. In terms of processed meat classification, there are a number of factors or considerations based on the processing or the characteristics of meats that are used in the classification of these meat products. So we start with canned meats. How are these classified? These are meats which are fully cooked. In some cases, they can be cured or non-cured, and they are retorted to sterilize the product. Most of them, they are packaged in metal containers, but they can also be packaged in plastic containers. What are the examples? Here we're looking at products such as ham that can be canned ham, beef in chili sauce, a beef stew, corned beef, which is what we are always familiar with, most of the people. The second category is frozen meats. Frozen meats, their characteristics, they can either be cooked or in some cases they can be raw. And these, most of them, they are microwavable food product or frozen meat products. And these include products such as sausages, pork sausages, meatloaves, beef stew, and steaks, and in some cases meatballs. Dry preserved meats, these are meats that are characterized by a low water activity. And for this, we know once you have a low water activity, you inhibit microbial growth. And these are products that can be cured. And for these products, refrigeration is not necessary. And we see examples such as biltong, beef jerky, in other words, and pastrami. Then we have what we call cured meats. So these are meats that are cured with nitrite or nitrate, which is a salt, and other salt adjuncts. And this can either be done by injection or by a dry rub. And these include products such as hams, bacon, and most deli meats. And then what we are familiar with in the context of South Africa, sausages. Don't we love sausages for frying? So sausages can be classified in terms of fresh sausages, or they could also be cured sausages. There is also what we call fermented sausages, or comminuted or emulsified or spiced sausages. And of course here, frankfurters, salami, pepperoni, etc. And then you've got dinner meats, which are prepared meats. In some cases, they are pre-cooked or they are raw. Sometimes they are frozen or refrigerated. So these are basically all the classifications that we have, including the last one, which is the luncheon meats. And their characteristics are different based on the processing and sometimes based on the final product that you have. But let us look at canned meats. So thermal processing in the food industry is a crucial method that is used to sterilize food products. So how is this done? So this is done by employing steam to heat the food in these sealed containers, in these canned containers. And so we do this in order to increase the shelf life of the food products. So these products, as you see like here, canned meat, they are perfect for adventures. If you go hiking in a long trip where you're not going to have access to refrigeration, and also in environments where people do not have refrigeration. So how do we achieve commercial sterility for these products? So for these products, the internal temperature of the food must reach 121 degrees Celsius. And this is important to ensure that harmful microorganisms, pathogenic microorganisms, microorganisms that can produce spores and toxins are destroyed. So this is ensuring that we make the food safe for human consumption. However, Such intense heat treatment at 121 degrees Celsius, such a severe heat treatment may adversely affect the product texture, the flavor, and the color. So what is the alternative? The alternative that can be used is to pasteurize the products to an internal temperature of 65 to 75 degrees Celsius. However, there's a downside. The downside is that now you then need to cook these meat products or these canned meat products for several hours. So you increase the processing time so that you can ensure that the microorganisms are then destroyed. So that is the alternative that we have. So in order to keep these food or these canned meats safe and fresh, as I've said, they are packaged in metal cans. So these metal cans, they should be coated with a thin film of tin to prevent rusting. And additionally, an enamel which is made of sulfur-resistant resins should be applied to prevent corrosion. So then now you have this dual layer of protection to ensure that the meat, the canned meat, stays in a top condition. So if we look at the frozen meat products, so the rate of freezing meat products has a profound effect on the meat tenderness and trip loss. But what does this mean? Perhaps the question that arises. So this means that, in other words, rapid freezing, as I've always said, encourages the formation of large ice crystals inside the cells, or smaller ice crystals inside the cells. So these tiny ice crystals, they cause minimal physical damage to the hilt, to the meat, helping it to stay tender and juicy. However, on the other hand, if you've got slow freezing is going to result in the formation of large ice crystals. And these large ice crystals that are formed, they disrupt the muscle cells and they cause what we call exudation. Exudation in this context refers to the leaking of fluids, primarily water and proteins, from the damaged cells due to this slow freezing process. And what is the consequence of that? The consequence of that is that this meat is going to lose its juiciness and it is going to become tougher. So the question is, how do we then prevent this? To prevent this quality loss due to this protein denaturation, substances which are called cryoprotectants are often included in the formulation of the meat products. And what are the examples of these cryoprotectants? So examples of these cryoprotectants includes substances such as polydextrose, polyphosphate, and to a lesser extent sorbitol are used. So we know that sorbitol is a sugar derivative. Packaging in frozen meat products also plays a crucial role in maintaining meat quality. So in the large wholesale, for example, large wholesale cuts are often vacuum sealed. So if you vacuum seal, so this process helps to prevent lipid oxidation and the formation of methioglobin, and thus assist us to keep the meat fresh for a longer period of time and appealing. So the last one that we're looking at is dry preserved meat. As you know, drying is an ancient preservation method that has been used commercially, and it still is used today. This is done in order to keep the food material, or the meat in this case, at ambient temperature, at room temperature, for an extended period of time. So what are the types of techniques that can be used? So hot drying, freeze drying, those are some of the commonly used drying methods. But hot drying is mostly commonly used for drying meat specifically due to its efficiency and cost effectiveness. Freeze drying, on the other hand, is mostly used for specialty products that require rapid rehydration due to its prohibitively high cost. It's a very expensive product. So in some cases, pre-cooking the meat before drying is important for protein aggregation and the removal of water from the muscle cells, which result in stronger hydrophobic interactions for the myofibrils and desirable chewiness. So marination is sometimes required as an extra pre-treatment for products such as beef jerky, biltong, and it also involves soaking meat slices in a mixture of seasonings before drying to add flavor and tenderize the meat. So when we look at drying as a unit operation, the drying of meat involves extensive physical and chemical changes, of course, which includes the removal of water, which leads to changes in the texture, in the color, and the flavor of these food products which are dried in this way. So both continuous belt oven and fluidized bed dryers are used to dry the meat commercially, and the selection of the drying technique, as we always say in this class, can impact the final product characteristics such as the texture and the appearance. Right, so this is what I just wanted to cover in short in this video. So the next section we're going to look at curing. Thank you very much.